after the... Jesus, I'm sorry. Okay, so hello lovely people. I don't know if this setting bothers anyone that I film sometimes in my bed, because right now I don't have a chair in my room. View videos are a little bit longer, so it's not really comfortable for me to be standing in front of my bookshelf for that long. Like, I'd rather sit down because it's more comfortable for me and I won't be sweating and looking crazy. So because today is going to be a discretion type review video, I want to be able to sit down and be comfortable. So today I'm going to be talking about Illuminae, which I read in the month of April, I believe, and I wrote a ton of notes. I literally have like 3 pages worth of notes, like front and back, front and a quarter. Okay, so we're talking about like 3 pages of notes. If you haven't heard about this book, it's extremely hyped up. Like, I've heard so many great things about this book, so I was really looking forward to getting into it. Sci-fi really isn't my thing, and space opera isn't really my thing either, but I felt like, you know, J. Kristoff co-wrote it. A lot of people rave about it, so I was like, maybe I'll enjoy it. And yeah, so let's get into talking about this book. So in case you have not heard about this book, or if you're just sleeping under a rock, or you don't know what Illuminae is, the setting of this book is based in the year 2575, which will be in the future, and it starts off with our MCs Ezra and Katie, who are in the midst of a breakup type deal going on with them, and little do they know that there's way more pressing issues in the breakup. So pretty much there's these 2 big corporations that are at war with each other for a specific planet, and that leads to their planet being invaded and it turned into an apocalyptic state, and everybody having to evacuate to these specific ships to be able to be safe in space once their planet is destroyed. So after the invasion, when all of the survivors end up evacuating, they evacuate to 3 separate ships, which are the Alexander, the Hypatia, and the Cornicius. Yeah, sorry if I'm butchering those names. So despite the fact that all the survivors have evacuated and found safe haven in these 3 ships, they're still in danger because the enemy ship, the Lincoln, is still in quick pursuit, okay, to destroy their asses. And on top of that, they have a plague that is coming into contact with all of the survivors that is turning them into chaotic, crazy killers. So there's that. So the setup and the format of this book is really unique. They have it split up through like documentation, surveillance footage, online conversations, and emails and radio conversations and stuff like that. And just like the entire setup of this book is so beautiful and it's really unique. Like, all the pages are really detailed. It's not like your typical page setting. So the focus of this entire story is to avoid the plague, protect the survivors, reveal secrets, and destroy the enemy as safely as possible. So that is my non-spoiler review. I'm going to get into a little bit of depth with like the issues that I had with this book. So if you want to go into this book without knowing anything about it other than the things that I stated in my little brief summary, then you probably should leave now. I don't think any of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is too spoilery. Like, I'm not going to talk about specific plots or whatever, but it might turn into a rant, so I don't want to spoil it for anyone. And the rest of this video is just going to be about my rating, how I feel about the book, things I didn't like, things I liked, and stuff like that. Yeah, I rated this 3 stars. I almost rated this 2.5 stars because I can't think of anything that I liked about this book. Like, the only thing I liked about this book was the formatting, but the formatting also made the book suffer because it made the characters have a lack of development. Like, it was hard to connect with the characters. It was hard to remember who the characters were or what was going on with them, or it was just hard to connect to them because it wasn't like your typical formatting. Although it was really unique, it was really beautiful. And at the end of the day, all the characters that were in this book were really sporadic. I couldn't remember their names. I couldn't remember their personalities. I couldn't remember their background story because of the way that the book was set up as like a file. And it wasn't really interactive between characters, and then when it was interactive, it just felt forced. Like, it felt like there was like a list of characters and they were just like told, this is what your persona is, this is what you're supposed to be, and then they were just like acting out, like, instead of us just being shown who the character was, instead of giving us the opportunity to see them go through different events and different changes and get comfortable with who they are as characters, we were just kind of being like forced and told of like who the characters were, what they were doing, what was going on, especially the main characters. Like, the main character That was another one of my really big issues, was the romance in this book felt really, I know they were teenagers, but it felt really teenagey. It just felt really random and just all over the place, and I just didn't enjoy the romance. I really honestly don't think that the book needed a romance. I really would have enjoyed the book better if it started off in the setting of their planet and it was a group of friends and they all were really close and we got to know each friend or whatever. Like if a quarter of the book just spent the time like in their specific planet, so we could see that setting, see them interact together and know who they were as characters, and then they got invaded and then they got separated through the 3 ships and we got to see from their point of view from each ship the military structure and stuff like that. I feel like I would have enjoyed the book better because I would have been able to have the opportunity to connect with the characters before it was like I was just reading through files. Like I really just didn't connect with any of the characters. They were underdeveloped. They were all over the place. I felt like the pitch that Katie was like such a badass and so smart and so like unique or whatever, it was just like so forced. It just didn't feel like it was flowing. Like it didn't feel like that was her character or her personality. Like I didn't even really know what her personality was. Ezra, however, whatever his name is, he was getting on my damn nerves. It was just like so sappy. And then at one point, it was revealed that the ship's computer intelligence was actually the thing that was communicating with Katie for most of the book. So I'm like, so who even is Ezra? Like I didn't even know what his character really was at that point after that was revealed. One of my biggest hated tropes were also in this book, where it was like the head over heels for the girl type trope, and I feel like Katie was just like pinned as this girl that everybody was so in love with. Like 3 of the characters were infatuated with her and I really just did not understand why, because I just felt like I didn't know who she was and I didn't get it. So I'm just like, okay, Ezra, I get it because they dated or whatever, so I got his infatuation with her. But even then, I still didn't know enough about their relationship. It just felt like they would talk about their past, or they would talk about things they went through, or they would talk about their prior relationship, but they didn't have moments. Like it was hard to connect them as like a couple or as like a romance or a relationship or whatever, because they didn't really have moments, and the moments that they did have, I don't even think it was really them talking to each other. I think she was talking to Adian, the computer intelligence within that ship. I just think that the romance was really not necessary. I would have definitely preferred it if it was a group of like 3 friends and they all got split up on all 3 of the ships, so we got to see in depth of like how and what they went through when they were on each ship. I feel like that would have been better. Some of the characters within the military structure, once Ezra got put into the military flight system thing, like I just felt like I didn't know who any of them were. I also think that the plague was really unnecessary. Like I would have so much more preferred just their planet to be invaded and then having to evacuate, and how they dealt with like avoiding the enemy ship or avoiding these mega corporations that were still trying to attack them, instead of also having like a random plague involved in there, the start of the plague or where the plague came from. I was trying so hard to like this book and I was kind of enjoying it, but I just felt really aggravated with the romance. It was just too much for me. And like I said, the trope with the whole head over heels for the girls thing really drove me crazy. Her mentor Byron, that taught her a lot, was like head over heels for her. Ezra was head over heels for her. The damn computer system was head over heels for her. And I just didn't understand it. It just was so... I feel like the fact that this book had 2 authors, I think. Wasn't it co-written? Yeah, I feel like you could definitely tell that there were 2 different authors, because just their play on all the characters, I don't know if they wrote it together or if one person wrote half of the book and then the other person wrote half of the book, because towards the end, like all the events that happened with Katie, it just it drove me crazy because it didn't feel like the same character. Even though I didn't really connect to her in the beginning, towards the end it just she felt so forced. Like her whole badass, snarky, personality just felt so forced to me, and just the interactions with her and Aiden was just so corny to me. I was just like over the whole book, and I was so upset because I really wanted to enjoy it, but like the deeper and deeper that I got into it, the more and more I got aggravated, and there were a lot of open end. The ending where Katie had a conversation with Ezra's mother, it just really threw me off because I was just like, what is the point of this information? Like, why is this important? Just certain things that happened in this book, it just did not need to happen. The romance wasn't necessary. The plague wasn't necessary. We needed more character development. We needed more moments with the characters. Like, I just would have loved to see a friendship group go through this invasion and go through this separation. Then it be these two random teenagers that were in love and broke up, and I didn't even really know much about their relationship when they did break up, so I didn't care that they broke up. I didn't care that they were trying to get back together. I just didn't care. Like, just the whole structure of the book just felt off to me. So I don't really know if I'm gonna read the next book. I know a lot of people rave about that book too, but everybody raved about this book, so I'm just like, maybe sci-fi isn't for me, or maybe just this book or this series just isn't for me. I really don't want to keep forcing myself to read something if I'm not enjoying it. It kind of sucks that I didn't like it, but it just was okay for me. I kind of like hated it a little bit. But you know, what are you gonna do? So let me know if the second book is any better. I think the second book is Gemini. So if you read that book and a little bit more is explained, or the characters are more enjoyable, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you like this book, or if you felt some of the same feelings that I did. Like, I was searching on Goodreads for people that had similar reviews to me, and they had the same issues with the book that I had, so I don't feel too alone about it. But I know this is a really loved book, but that's just my views on it, how I felt about it in my notes. So let me know in the comments below if you read this book, if you enjoyed it, or if you had any problems with it. Then talk about that too. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Always remember, read a book, keep your life interesting, and I will see you next time. Bye.